Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Bhagavad-Gita as it is, chapter 12, page 554, 554, chapter 12, text 12. Everybody's comfortable? You okay? You can open the window if you want. If you think it's going to make any difference. Everyone should turn off their phone. If you have your phone, everyone should turn off their phone and put it on silence. You have to pay a fine. You have to give me 1 kilo of sweets. Shreyo hi janam abhyas jasad yanad yanad vishyate yad karma pala sagyas sagyas shatur anantaram. Word for word. Shreya, better. He, certainly. Jnanam, knowledge. Abhyasat, in practice. Jnanat, in knowledge. Jnanam, meditation. Vishishyate, considered better. Nanyat, in meditation. Karma phalam jaga, renunciation of the fruit of action. Read that again. Renunciation of the results of fruit of action. Jagat, by such renunciation. Shanta, peace. Thereafter, Atmaram, Anantaram, thereafter. Translation purported by the Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. If you cannot take to this practice, engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better in knowledge, hours meditation, better in meditation, renunciation of the fruits of action, for by such renunciation one can attain peace of mind. Om Aryanat Ramdasya Jana Janaskakara Sakshulimitam Jena Tadme Shri Guru Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutalai Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Danti Svantakantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivastava Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this section, these verses 8 through 12, are dealing with the process, progressive stage of devotion. And the Bhagavad-Gita is divided into 3 sections, 18 chapters. First 6 chapters deal with karma yoga, last 6 chapters deal with jnana yoga, and the middle 6 chapters deal with bhakti-yoga. So it's kind of like a treasure chest. You put your treasure in a box. It has a top and a bottom, and in the middle is a treasure. So Bhagavad-Gita, of course, the whole Bhagavad-Gita is about bhakti, but these chapters, 7 through 12, are especially delineates bhakti, the process of devotional service. So I find these chapter 10, 11, and 12 a little difficult to understand. Boyajan Prabhu wrote this book, Surrender Unto Me, which gives some commentary. So first I'll read his commentary, and then I'll read Prabhupada's purport. Thus, these verses describe a sequence. Text 8, perfected devotional service, always remembering Krishna. Text 9, devotional service in practice, forming sadhana bhakti, engaging activities that fix the mind directly on Krishna. Those two processes are Vaidhi Bhakti and Raga Bhakti. Then, text 10 and 12, Karma Yoga, working with detachment and offering Krishna the fruits of one's work, either Niskam Karma Yoga or Sankam Karma Yoga. This awards one actual peace, bhakti, as described in the peace formula 5.9, 5.29, Bhoktaram Jagnatapasam. These two other stages, which are lower than Karma Yoga, are also mentioned in text 12, meditating and cultivating knowledge, Brahmagyan. Still lower than Brahmagyan, and without its direct transcendental result, is the method mentioned in text 11, detached work, while offering the fruit not to Krishna, but to a mundane cause. Krishna has already explained in chapter 5 that by working in an attached fashion, one attains Brahmagyan. Thus, Krishna has delineated relative grades of spiritual processes and spiritual progress. And we're going to deal with two things, spiritual processes and spiritual progress. So I'll read the first paragraph to this verse. As mentioned in previous verses, there are two kinds of devotional service, the way of regular principles and the way of full attachment and love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those who are actually not able to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness, it's better to cultivate knowledge, because by knowledge one can be able to understand his real position. Gradually knowledge will develop to the point of meditation. By meditation, one can be able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by a gradual process. There are processes which make one understand that one himself is supreme. That sort of meditation is preferred if one is unable to engage in devotional service. So it says to understand oneself as supreme means the Atmagyan, or understand we're the supreme in the sense that we're servants of Krishna, not Mayavadi, not to emerge to become Krishna. And we can never become Krishna. If one is not able to meditate in such a way, and there is a prescribed duties, as enjoined in the Vedic literatures, for the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, which you'll find in the last chapter of Bhagavad-Gita. In all cases, one should give up the results of fruits of labor. This means to employ the results of karma for some good cause. So this is the processes mentioned here. First verse, 8 and 9, deal with remembering Krishna. We know that the most important of all the verses, of all the instructions, Smartya Satata Vishnor Vishnurtavyana Jupsachip Sarve Vidi Say Da Yushur Etor Eva Kinkaraha. Krishna is the origin of the Lord Vishnu, should always be remembered, never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastra should be the servant of these two principles. This is quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22, chapter 22, text 113, coming from the Padma Purana. So that's the highest stage, remembering Krishna. Then there's Vaidhi Bhakti, which is given in chapter 9, practicing rules and regulations of the activities to fix the mind. But the mind is considered our best friend, our worst enemy. Prabhupada says, over and above chanting Hare Krishna, one must control the senses. And Bhagavad-Gita says, the mind is still jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana, that the living entity is struggling with in the material world, conditioned soul in the material world, struggling with the six senses, which concludes the mind. So, we know the mind can act as can be your friend if you use your mind to think of Krishna and practice Krishna consciousness. But the mind can also distract one, even the most intelligent person. One person on the GBC, Prabhupada said that he was the most intelligent of all the GBCs. But he ended up leaving Krishna consciousness because his mind was not fixed. And by many years, he left Krishna consciousness, but somehow he's come back now. I don't want to mention his name. But if someone leaves Krishna consciousness, it's because the mind, they're not able to control their mind. The mind is telling them that you should do something else, or for some reason or another, the mind does not become fixed on Krishna. So these two texts 8 and 9 deal with these two things. Text 10 deals with Karma Yoga, working in the attached spirit. So when Jayananda was building the rat cart, he needed some help. So he just called someone over on the street. He was in New York. He called someone over was walking down the street and said, we need some help here. Are you a carpenter? And they give the man a hammer and a nail and have him put the nail in a piece of wood. He said, yeah, you're very expert. Okay, you'll do. So he engaged people in this way. Even though they weren't devotees, they weren't practicing devotional service. So they were practicing even without knowing it. They got some agyata sakriti. And so this is text 10. Text 11 says offer the fruits of one's work. So text 10 deals with using our body for serving Krishna. Some people come to the temple, they can clean and wash the pots, clean the floor, do different kinds of menial services, even if they're not practicing the rules and regulations of bhakti-yoga. But most people can't even do that, so they can give a donation. Gopal Krishna Maharaj goes to the big people. He's able to get donations from the Birlas and the Tattvas and all the Tattas and all the Muraris, all the wealthiest people in India. So he got a big donation. They're building a temple in New Bombay, Karjit, and they need 150 crores. So recently he got a big donation of I think it was 20 crores or 50 crores, I'm not sure how much. So these people, they are favorable to Krishna consciousness, but they're not practicing Vaidhi Bhakti or doing any kind of devotional service. So this is Niskam Karma Yoga. But people do yoga practice with the mixed idea to get some material benefits. And then there's Sakam Karma Yoga, which one performs devotional service without Savai Pumsam Parodharmo Ahatikiya Patriyata Enamas Su what's that? Enama I forgot. Anyway, one should perform the Aitikiya Pratiyata, unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service. This is Sakam Karma Yoga, and one has no material desires. And then, so here it says meditation. We heard about meditation in the 6th chapter, and it's very difficult, and no one can do meditation in this day and age. So, but real meditation means you go to the forest, sit on a goosey grass, covered with a deer skin, and have to be free from sex desire and free from fear, and sit with half-closed eyes. This is the recommended way to do meditation. But Arjuna said, no, I can't do that. That's more, to control the mind, control the senses, is more difficult than controlling the wind. You try to control the wind with your arms, you can't do it. So there's one process. The other one is the Atmagyan, or trying to understand the self, cultivating knowledge. So we can cultivate knowledge by reading Prabhupada's books, reading the books of the Acharyas, and gradually, by cultivating knowledge, one may come to understand that devotional service should take to devotional service, or may not. At least one should try to understand that the Vera Swarup, why Krishna Nitya Das, that I'm the eternal servant of Krishna, that I'm not this body. This is the beginning. Knowledge means there's no difference between spirit and matter and the control of both. And intelligence means to see things in the proper perspective. So that's two things: meditation, cultivating knowledge, renunciation of the fruits of our activities, giving donations, giving our hard-earned money. Prabhupada wanted that the householders in this movement who are living outside working give 50% of their income to the Krishna conscious movement. But in this day and age, it's a very difficult thing to do. Most people can't do that. But I don't know if anybody's even trying to do that. But Prabhupada wanted that. So anyway, the idea is that one should not be greedy. Bhaktisiddhanta said that the householders, when they come to Vrindavan, they should give to the widows. When you go to Lori Bazaar, there's many widows who go from shop to shop, get a few coins. So Bhaktisiddhanta said they should give to the widows, give to the beggars in Vrindavan. Otherwise they'll maintain a greedy mentality. They won't want to give to Krishna either. So this is also recommended here. So these are different processes. And for people who can't engage in devotional service, then and these are the gradual processes, step by step. If you want to go to the top floor of the Empire State Building, you can go up the stairs. So the first day you may go up 5 or 10 flights of stairs and then stop. Next day you may take the elevator, go where you stop, and go up again a little bit until gradually you get to the top floor. That's a gradual process. Sometimes people do Govardhan Parikram, and it takes them 4, 5, 7 days or 2 weeks. So they go a certain amount cover a certain amount of area. They stop there, mark this place, come back the next day till they finish. But these indirect processes are not recommended in this age, because the process is Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalo, Kuluna, Stavana, 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 Gachiranyata. In Kali Yuga, the only process is chanting the holy name. Lord Chaitanya said, no other way, no other way, no other way. But people say they don't have time. So not everyone can engage in a direct process. And people don't understand. We're reading Srimad Bhagavatam. The verse yesterday said that people are wasting their lives and maintain their families, so many things. And Prahlad Maharaj also said to his classmates, when he heard from Narada Muni, that someone lives for 100 years at the most. For the first 10 years is spent in play. Child plays as much as he wants. You can't give him any spiritual instruction or much. You can train him a little bit. 1 to 5, he's just like an animal. It should be fondled, not given any instruction. And after 5, he can start to instruct the child. Then from 10 to 20, someone engages in sports. Sports is very popular all over the world, especially in America. They have 10 different kinds of sports, and everyone's attracted to these different sports, and they have professional people playing these different sports on television, and people go by the thousands to watch these sporting activities. Another way, wasting time, wasting their human form of life. And then at the end, when 20 years is left, one becomes old and indolent, can't do anything. Can't do much of anything. And no question of taking to spiritual life. Especially people are conditioned by their whole life, they're thinking one way. Even if they always try to convince someone that meat eating is not good, their father or mother, they don't appreciate to hear that. They object to that. They don't think there's anything wrong with it because of their conditioning. So this way, there's the lifespan, 100 years, 50 years sleeping, 20 years play, 20 years in old age, and the balance in household life, trying to maintain their family, keep up with the status quo, working all day to make money, to keep the wife satisfied, to keep the children satisfied, to collect so many things. In this way, one wastes his whole human form of life, not understanding that as soon as you take birth, anyway, as soon as one takes birth, he's sure to die. When one dies, sure to take birth again. But people don't understand that this life is short and that there's something more important than just trying to maintain oneself and get as much sense gratification as they can get. So they're wasting their valuable human form, 8,400,000 species of life, and of that only 400,000 are human species, which include the demigods. So, of those 400,000 species, not all of them are actually civilized human beings. A civilized human being is someone who accepts a spiritual master. Tadvidi pariparnena pariprasena sevaya upadekyanti chegyanaskanastapadarshaha. One who accepts a spiritual master and follows the Vedic culture, Vedic instructions. So we don't find too many civilized human beings on this planet. Prabhupada was talking to Cardinal Dayalu, and he was saying, first Prabhupada said you shouldn't eat meat. It's not good for you. It's sinful. And the Cardinal said, well, the children are hungry. They have to have food. He was giving some excuses why they should eat meat. Then Prabhupada said, well, if you're going to eat meat, then at least don't eat the cow. Because the cow is considered your mother and also very dear to Krishna. Golok was the residence of Krishna, where the cows are very dear to Krishna. And the cow is like your mother. It gives you milk and gives you all the necessities of life. And the cow is pure. All the demigods reside in the body of a cow. And the cow dung, cow urine is pure. It's used for the Abhishek ceremonies, when we do the Abhishek in the temple or any fire yajna. So it's the cow is a sacred animal, and it should not be killed or slaughtered in the slaughterhouses. But people don't know that, can't understand that. But this is very sinful, killing cows. And it's going on all over the world by the millions every day. And because of cow killing, there's so many wars. As long as there's killing the cows, slaughterhouses are there, and there can never be peace in the world. Because the slaughterhouse are killing cows, the reaction for that is war when they're killing men or killing each other. So in this way, one is wasting their human form of life and unaware that it's not the end. It's, one man was told that he only had 2 years left to live. So he decided that he would go and try and get as much sense gratification as he could possibly get. There's a program, a television program. Instead of coming to Vrindavan and doing bhajan, chanting Hare Krishna, he went all over the world trying to do all kinds of crazy things, driving cars and gambling and whatever. So we didn't understand that at the end of life, it's not finished. Deno smin yatade komoram yoganam jara tatade antara praptir dirastata namuyite from boyhood to youth to old age. The soul is transmigrating one body to another. So the soul is active in this body, so you shouldn't think the soul becomes inactive when the body dies. The soul is very subtle. It says for the conditioned soul, goes from one body to another. It's subtle. It's like very subtle, like the air carries the aroma. Sometimes the air carries the aroma of a flower. It's very sweet, or sometimes it carries the aroma of something foul. Especially in Vrindavan, you get all kinds of bad smell. But the soul always has a form, always has a body, always is existing. Krishna told Arjuna that you and I were both there. When he spoke the Bhagavad-Gita 120 million years ago, he said that both you and I were there. I can remember, but you cannot. So we are eternal spirit soul. And so the soul never doesn't die. The soul continues to exist even when the body, one leaves his body, in all species. So but only in the human form of life can one practice Krishna consciousness and try to make a solution, get out of the bondage. We're bound up hand and foot, Daivye Shagunamayi Mama Maya Durtaya, It's very difficult to overcome material energy. Material energy, the Durga Devi, she's in charge of the material energy. Durga means fort or prison. The material world is like a prison house. So once you're in the prison house, you can't get out unless you have to get the time runs out. You have to get parole or time runs out. So to get out of the material world is not an easy thing. We're bound up by hand and foot, and people don't know that, so they spend their lives working very hard day and night to accumulate so many things. But when you come in this world as a baby, you don't have anything, and so at the time of death, whatever you've accumulated, you can't take with you. So what is the use of working day and night, working so hard for nothing? But people can't understand that because it's Kali Yuga, age of core hypocrisy. People are very slow, and there's no education in modern schools, no education to educate people about the science of the soul, about self-realization. The people are still in ignorance, passionate in ignorance. So this first paragraph deals with the different processes, indirect processes for becoming, but it says at the end that you will attain peace if you give up the fruits of your activities. You can attain peace of mind. That's what everyone's looking for. Now I'll read the last paragraph. In summary, to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest goal, there are two processes. One process is by gradual development, the other process is by direct Krishna consciousness. By direct service in Krishna consciousness is a direct method. The other method involves renouncing the fruits of one's activities. Then one can come to the stage of knowledge, then to the stage of meditation, then to the stage of understanding the Super Soul, then to the stage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One may take either the step-by-step process or the direct process. Direct path. Direct path is not possible for everyone. Therefore, the indirect process is also good. It is, however, to be understood that the indirect process is not recommended for Arjuna, because he's already at the stage of loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. It is for others who are not at this stage. For them, the gradual process of renunciation, knowledge, meditation, and realization of the Super Soul and Brahman should be followed. But as far as Bhagavad-Gita is concerned, it is the direct method that is stressed. Everyone is advised to take to the direct method and surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, we have the direct method, which following the 9 processes of devotional service, beginning with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. And we're reading in the Bhagavatam class about Bali Maharaj, how he surrendered everything. That's the 9th process of devotional service, surrender everything. Even though his spiritual master told him not to surrender to Vamadev because he'll take everything, but because he promised Vamadev 3 steps of land, and Vamadev took 2 steps, then there was 1 step with balance, and he couldn't go back on his promise because he was in the line of Prahlad Maharaj. So Vamadev asked him he actually arrested Bali Maharaj for not keeping his promise. Where should I put my 3rd step, he said. You only give me 2 steps. So he said, well, you should put your 3rd step on my head. So actually, Then Vamadeva arrested Bali Maharaj, tied him up with the ropes of Varuna, and sent him down to Patala Loka, the hellish planet, which seems like it was unfair. Mary Gupta was Hanuman. He was the servant of Lord Ramachandra, and he was also in Gaur Lila. He was a physician, but he couldn't understand these things, these activities of the Lord. First he arrested Bali Maharaj, then he cut off the nose, ears of Kamsa's sister, Ravana's sister. Then he shot Vali from behind a tree. Then he was dancing with the wives of others wives. So he couldn't understand the activities of the Lord. So he got a chopper. They have these choppers where they cut open coconuts, big knives. So he got a chopper, he was going to kill himself. And he hid it in his house. Because Lord Chaitanya was all-knowing, all-cognizant, went to Murari Gupta and said, Murari Gupta, you give me that chopper. And Murari Gupta said, what chopper? He says, I know, I can understand, you kept that in your house to kill yourself, you should not do that. So, because he couldn't understand the nature of the Lord's activities. So in this way, the 9 processes of devotional service are there. And these are the direct processes. Vivinu Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. And when Lord Chaitanya was in Vrindavan, and Jagannath Puri, Ballavacharya would come to see Lord Chaitanya. And he had written a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, and he thought his commentary was better than Sridhar Swami. So he kept requesting Lord Chaitanya to hear his commentary. But Lord Chaitanya said no, he didn't want to hear his commentary. So he went to Gradhar Pandit and requested him to hear it. So finally Gradhar Pandit relented. But then Lord Chaitanya told Balacharya that your commentary goes against the commentary. He didn't accept the commentary of Sridhar Swami. So you're like a prostitute or an unchaste woman. Woman may be very attentive to her household chores and be very kind to her husband, but at the same time she's keeping a paramour or a boyfriend, but she doesn't want her husband to find out, so she does everything very nicely so he won't suspect anything. So he said, you're like that, you're like a prostitute, and but because you don't accept Sridhar Swami's commentary. So Balabhacharya was very upset that Lord Chaitanya had chastised him in that way. But when he thought about it for some time, and he realized that his chastisement was for his own good, and that was actually correct, and therefore he did apologize to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya did accept him after that. And the Balabhacharya is a bona fide sampradaya. They worship Bal Krishna. They're in the Vatsalya Bhav, a parental relationship. So in this way, he committed an offense. He transgressed the etiquette, Vaishnava etiquette. But Lord Chaitanya forgave him. And then, so this has to do with the direct process of Krishna consciousness. And in the Nectar Instruction, Upadeshamrita, Prabhupada has him print this book, Upadeshamrita. He printed it so 2,000 copies. Prabhupada said, why only 2,000? Should print 10,000. Distribute this book to everyone. So the Upadeshamrita is a very instructive book on how to perform devotional service, and it is the direct process, and it's easy. It's part of the Bhakti Shastra course. So first verse is Vachavegam Manasakroda Vegam. Jiva Vegam Udara Pasta Vegam Itam Vegam Yo Vishishta Dirha Sarvam Upinam Vim Sashishat. The sober person is one can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, and is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So, this is the spiritual master. A bona fide spiritual master, he has to have control over his senses, and he has to know the science of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, you'll get a cheating spiritual master who can't control his senses and doesn't know the science of Krishna consciousness. Then it says, Atyahara Prasascha Pajapo Nimagraha Jana Sangascha Loyam Cha Sadbir Bhaktir Vinashati. Devotional service is spoiled when one becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary, or collecting more funds than required, over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the rules and regulations only for the sake of following them, and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations, or working independently or willingnessly, associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and being greedy for mundane achievements. Then, utsaha nischaya dharyat tattad karma pravartante sangha tyaga sato rite sadbir bhakti prasiddhyati. There are 6 principles favorable for the execution of devotional service: being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulated principles such as Shravanam Kirtanam, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and following the footsteps of previous acharyas. So, we should be confident, enthusiastic. As soon as we wake up in the morning, we should be enthusiastic to come to Mangalarti, chant rounds, hear Bhagavatam class, engage in service. Let's try to maintain enthusiasm. We should endeavor with confidence and be patient. With that, it will take some time to become purified, to become Krishna conscious. The woman gets married, she can't have a child right away. She has to wait 9 months. So she has to be patient. In the same way, we have to be patient in practicing Krishna consciousness, that the results of ecstatic ecstasies and the things we hear about in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat may not manifest immediately. But if we get free from the anarthas, Lord Chaitanya told Rupa Goswami that the anarthas in the heart are innumerable. So we have to clean our heart, Chaito Darpana Marjanam, and this will help us to come to a higher stage of devotional service. But it takes time and practice, and we have to be serious and not let ourselves be deviated by these other things, eating more than necessary, or talking about mundane things, or collecting more funds than required, associating with non-devotees, and being greedy. We should try to avoid these things. These are different anarthas that block our Krishna consciousness. So the Tadvidi paritaptena paripasana sevaya Uptekyanti te gyanas gyanasta pradarshanaha. Once you accept the spiritual master and render service unto him, he can impart knowledge unto you because he's seen the truth. So it's very important that we have a bona fide spiritual master. Madhavinda Puri was empowered. He was in the line, on our line, and he was the first one who taught about devotional service to Radha and Krishna. Before that, Aishwarya Bhav, or most people think that the worship of Lakshmi and Narayan is supreme. So Madhavinda Puri was in ecstatic ecstasy. So at the time of death, he was lamenting as a pure devotee. He sometimes never thinks himself a pure devotee. So he is lamenting that he had not got the Lord of his life, the Lord of Mathura, Krishna. So he had two disciples. One was Ramachandra Puri and one was Ishvara Puri. Ramachandra Puri was a fault finder and critic. So when he heard Madhavinda Puri lamenting that he had not attained the goal of his life, that he criticized his spiritual master. Told him that why are you lamenting? You should just meditate on Brahman. He was actually Mayavadi. He had bad association. He became a Mayavadi and didn't understand about devotional service. So he became a critic and a fault finder. And so much so, and when he was in Jagannath Puri, he would invite the Vaishnavas for prasadam, and he'd feed them until they couldn't eat anymore. And he'd make them eat more and more, then he'd criticize them. So the followers of Lord Chaitanya are eating more than necessary. Then he went to Lord Chaitanya. He couldn't find any fault in Lord Chaitanya. So one day he went to the house of Lord Chaitanya and he saw ants on the floor. He said, this sannyasi is eating sweetmeats. If you eat, sannyasi eats too many sweets, sugar, it ruins one's devotional service, it makes progress hard. Uncontrolled senses, agitates your senses. So he dared to criticize Lord Chaitanya. And this result was he offended his guru, Vaishnava Aparad. He became a critic and fault finder. But Ishvara Puri was also a disciple of Madhavinda Puri, and he served Ishvara Puri as a menial servant. He cleaned up after him when he was on his deathbed, and he got the opposite result. He got pure devotional service, he got prema, love of God. So in this way, we should accept the spiritual master, and third offense to change the holy name is to disobey the order of the spiritual master, think him an ordinary man. So we should always try to follow the instructions of the spiritual master and follow his instructions and not in any way commit Vaishnava aparad or offend the spiritual master. Well, these are some of the direct processes, some of the ways to processes, and the two things that were stressed here is the process and progress. So the process is Krishna consciousness, and to make progress we have to follow the rules of regulation, chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regulated principles, no meeting, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. In this way we can make our life successful. So I'm going to stop there. Hare Krishna. Do we have any questions, comments? Question man here.
You were giving the example of in America you have a sports, so many 10 types of different sports. So sports also they have in India, but when the sportsmen, when they are on the sporting field, before going to sporting field, they pray to the Lord that maybe I have been successful. So they are praying that we are also be involved in bhakti, or what is their praying?
Well, it's like the Christians. It's like the Christians say, "Oh Lord, give us our daily bread." It's not bhakti. Nothing to do with devotional service. Krishna's not interested whether you win or lose. Not, the mundane sports have nothing to do with becoming Krishna conscious or God consciousness. They can pray to God for help, but it's just, not devotional. There's no devotion there. Asking God to help us. It's people come to the temple, pray to the deity, give me this, give me that. But we shouldn't ask anything from Krishna. We don't ask anything from Krishna. We only ask Krishna how I can serve you. We don't want anything. Even Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, when they got the darshan of the Lord said you can ask for any benediction you want. They said we don't want any benediction. We just want pure devotional service. So it's not the service. It's not even service to what they do. They pray to the Lord to help them, but it's not what they're doing. Some mundane activity. So what's the use of praying to the Lord? Even if they win, they don't get bhakti. They don't go back to Godhead. So what's the use? They're wasting their time. They say, "My dear Lord, help me win this. Help me waste my time." Anybody else?
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad-Gita ki jai.